What enjoy not to welcome to my channel. My name is Stefania if you're new here. So today we are going to be doing a video all about all the new bronzers that have launched. I am a bronzer hoarder, to say the least. Even though it's all tones of brown, I'm always just like, oh no, that's a little hint yellow, that's a little bit more red. Like I love bronzers is pretty much what I'm saying. So we are going to do a whole comparison of Tarte versus Fenty, the new cream bronzers, Tower 28, Charlotte Tilbury, Kosas, Kaja. Like, I'm going to show you guys comparisons on my face, all that good stuff. So hopefully you can make a decision if you're, you know, a little bit like, which one do I do? So especially without swatching right now, I thought this would be very useful. Please don't subscribe, hit that like button if you want more of these types of videos. I would really appreciate it. And let's go ahead and hop into this. Okay, so let's get started. I do have the lights turned down. That way you guys can truly see the colors of the bronzers. But we are gonna start, we're gonna go over everything. We're gonna start with the Tarte versus Fenty. So I pretty much love both of these, but let's go ahead, we'll put them on the skin. So I have Teddy in the Fenty, and then I have Grace Bay in the Tarte. I don't even know what made me grab the Tarte one, but I don't regret it. So we'll do swatches of everything in the end, but we're gonna go ahead and start putting this in the face. So we are gonna start off with the Tarte one, and then I'm gonna use this Sephora brush that I've been really enjoying. For some reason, it's always been hard for me to find brushes that I like with cream products. So I'm gonna kind of talk about that as well. But I've really been enjoying this brush. Unfortunately though, you can only get it in a set. It comes in like 5 brushes. But I really like it. It comes with, like you get, it's supposed to be a foundation brush, I think. But I like it for cream bronzer. And then it has a really nice like other brush for bronzer, which I don't use unless I'm using a powder bronzer. And then it has eye brushes. The only thing is like the eye brushes are like very, they're big, like they're not meant for people who have like hooded lids. They're definitely bigger brushes. So unfortunately I use them for other things, but I don't really like get the full effect of the face one. But I love the coloring of this. Like it looks expensive and the set was like 40 bucks and I made sure to get it like when it was on sale. But I will make sure to link everything down in the description box of what I'm talking about since I'm talking about a million things today. I also, I couldn't help myself and I picked up my face before we started, so that didn't help anything. But I do not have foundation on just because I kind of wanted to show you guys at least the cream products without foundation. Powder products I feel like are a little bit harder to pull off without foundation. At least they are for me. So the creams though, like these work perfectly on top of foundation as well. They don't make it move around. This is definitely, like I really like the shade of this. This is the second shade up. So it comes in 3 different shades, could be more. I have been really loving when brands are coming out with more than, okay, obviously Fenty always comes out with multiple shades. I think the Vesca powder bronzers, those came out in quite a few shades too. So I hope more brands follow suit because we are going to talk about some powder bronzers later. And I did not even need that much. I don't know why I'm putting so much on. I'm like, I don't have foundation on my face. And then I'm like, let's put on all the bronzer possible. So, but I find that cream looks a lot better. Not a lot better, but it's a product I can use even when I don't feel like wearing foundation. So that's why I like cream. I'm going to buff this out a little bit more in a second. I'm gonna went a little overboard there. So just make sure you're a little bit more careful. It's mostly due to my talking. I know. People are like, you talk too much. And I'm just like, well, what am I supposed to do? You know how crappy the music library is in terms of like what you can pick? I'm like, nobody wants to listen to this awful music. So there is that one. Like I said, we will do swatches. And then I'm going to grab Fenty Teddy, which is their new cream bronzer. And we're going to take it on the Fenty 125. I have not tried a lot of Fenty brushes. This brush made me want to try quite a few. So I really recommend this brush. I've really been enjoying it. And now I'm just like, ooh, I want more of the brushes, but I needed to see them in person because people were talking about the size and I'm like, there's no size reference, you know? So this one, I feel like this is on the fairly dark side of the Fenty shades, Teddy. I did try Honey Glaze initially and that was just way too orange on me, like not in a good way. Like I just did not enjoy that shade. So this one definitely works a lot better. It's a little bit more neutral. Honey Glaze is more on the orangey side. I don't know. I honestly don't know who that's going to look flattering on, but I'm sure certain people are fine with it. But yeah, these ones take a little bit more building up, which is totally fine with me. I mean, like this side, I went a little ham and went a little too dark. And like I said, it doesn't help that this is the area that's like swollen right now. Like I get those like zits that are, not this side, that are just a little bit like under the skin. So that it just looks, it's not my favorite. If they could go away, that'd be great. So I would say this one is definitely buildable. So if you're worried about, anything, sometimes these formulas are easier if you're a beginner, but this also blended out totally fine as well. So I'm going to zoom you guys even further and we'll take a closer look. I haven't had any issues though with these looking patchy. They're in the pan, you can definitely tell they're creams, but on the face they're not. You guys will definitely see when I swatch the, what was it called? The Tower 28. Very different type of look, very different formula. This one is actually my favorite. It's matte, and I like that with both of these. All right, we'll turn down the lighting even a little bit further. So this is the Fenty side. Obviously, keep in mind, like I said, I don't have foundation on. So I would probably either go in with a lighter hand on this, or it might be perfect for summer. Regardless, I like both shades on my skin tone, but I don't feel like either side, I don't have dry flakes anywhere, and it's not greasy on the skin, So I don't feel like if I, obviously if I really rub it hard, it's going to come off. But there's a big difference between these and the other ones I will show you. So I really like the finish on both. Like I said, I have no problems with them going on foundation. Okay, so difference between the two and which one would I recommend? I think they're both great. I enjoy both and I'm happy I have both. Like I said, there's a lot of days where I don't want to do foundation. So this tone probably works better for me on those days compared to this one. But I think especially with summer and this is more intense off the bat and I just kind of went a little crazy. Packaging wise, it's like this is this baby blue color and I do really like it. My only thing is it feels a little bit cheap when you open it. Like this is very flimsy and not very sturdy at all compared to the Fenty. So if that's going to bother you, that is something to note. It doesn't feel like it's going to fall off by any means, but like look how thin it is. Like what is that? Like they could have used the whole area. It has a mirror in here. It's not as tiny as, it's not annoyingly tiny, but it is tiny. Like it could have just, I'm like, could you made it a little bit thicker to make it fill the whole pan? I feel like it's been a new thing now where I'm just like, oh, maybe it just bothers me. I don't know. But the Fenty one takes up the whole area, which I prefer. I can see a lot more in the Fenty one, even though it's tinier. So price-wise though, the Tarte is a much better deal. The Tarte, you get 16 grams of product, and I believe the Fenty one, it's only 6.23 grams. So very big difference in terms of like what you're getting. They both expire within a year. But yeah, you're going to get more product with the Tarte, and the Tarte one is actually $3 cheaper than the Fenty. So just keep that in mind. But like I said, I'm very happy with both. I'm going to go ahead and actually like cleanse my face between the swatches. That way, like I don't like to use makeup rag because in case, well, I don't use makeup wipes. I was like, in case what? I don't have any. But just that way I don't have any residue left over. So I'm going to cleanse, and then we're going to go in with the Tower 28, and then we just got Kosas, we got Kaja, we got a lot. So I'm going to stop talking. All right, I have cleansed the demons. So next we're going to go in with the Tower 28 versus the Kaja. So the Tower 28 one is $20, where the Kaja one is about $25. Really, the Tower 28 one is a better deal. Obviously, there's a lot less product than the first two, but this one comes with 4.5. This one comes with 5 grams. So for the extra like $5, you're only getting like an extra half a gram with the Kaja. I have thoughts. So let's go ahead and start out with this. I'm going to use this. Let's start with the Kaja. So this comes in like a little stamp thing. I never know how I feel about Kaja's packaging. I think for a while I didn't want to try the brand because I was like, oh, it looks cheap. The product though is so nice compared to like, part of me is like, oh, it's innovative and cute. And then I'm like, I'm too old for this. But I actually really do enjoy it. Thing is though, the actual product is this. This is it. Like it's not like yeah, we don't really need this whole thing. Whereas like this whole top part is the stamp. So the stamp takes up way more than the actual product does, in case you're wondering. But it comes with a cute little star and you stamp it in. I don't like to use the stamp. It does work. It's totally fine. But when I go in, it's almost like I don't want to re-stamp. It's enough for almost all my face, but then I feel like I have to go back in and then I don't need that much product. So it works and it's fine. Like I don't do it on camera, but I feel like I'm actually wasting more product. So you just kind of stamp it in here. I'm not going to push it all the way down because like I said, this is a sponge and it will absorb everything. So it's totally fine to, okay, maybe I need a little bit more than that. All right, there we go. I'm only using it on half my face. So I actually dip into this with a brush most of the time rather than using the stamp part, which kind of defeats the purpose, but I mean, it is kind of cool to see. Like, it is cute. What I like about this is you have some time to work with it. It's not going to dry down super fast. And it's more like the shade I got is Toasty, O2 Toasty. Again, I only have 2 shades, so I gotta work on that. But I'm taking the e.l.f. What is this? 105. So this works totally fine. Like I said, these are my favorite. These are my 3 favorite brushes for cream bronzer, which, you know, it's like this one's cheaper, but I do like that, like, you guys can see the way the bristles are like a little bit uneven, which I feel like makes it a lot easier to blend. I just prefer brushes like these in general. Like, I'm going to say it, I'm a turd for nice looking brushes. That's all it is. So if you can find this one, and this one's starting to shed a little bit. So it doesn't have a long shelf life, but it is, I think it's around like $10. So much more affordable. And like I said, this one only comes in the set, the Sephora brush, and then the Fenty one is in the $30 range. So it's kind of up to you, you know? I'm always like, you can spend less at one time, but these are probably gonna, the other 2 are probably gonna last me longer. Whereas this one, I have had to replace it just because it is shedding. And I'm not a fan of like clear packaging. I don't know. It's just me. And that's just me in general. Like even the Tower 28, I'm okay with it because it was $20, you know? But it's not my favorite look. Like I really hate it when like Dior does it. Like I just feel like Dior is way too expensive to have clear packaging. I don't know. Some people think it looks nice and sleek and I'm just like that. I just, no, not for me. So I really like this tone. Like I said, I can layer a powder bronzer over it, use it with foundation, totally fine. I like it. I'm happy about it. This is a little bit darker than probably the other shades. So yeah, we'll see in the swatches, but it still works really well for me. I don't think I would have gone for the lighter one by any means. All right, and then we have the 2 Tower 28 ones. I feel like these, like, all of a sudden it was like Tower 28 was everywhere, and it was like one of those products where it's like, you got it. So I got both shades because it only comes in 2 as well. They are a smaller brand, and they really picked up popularity, like, recently. But I still don't know how I feel about these. For the hype, I wouldn't say, like, I like it, but it's just different. So like I said, I have 2 shades. So this is Best Coast and then we have West Coast here. So you can definitely tell, like, that's a big jump. Like this is way more red, but this one is a little bit more like I could use a tint darker. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna use 1/2 of my beauty blender because obviously, like, you don't need to go out and buy expensive brushes. You can just use a beauty blender. It's just not my preferred method. But these do have shimmer in them and they're greasier. So I think especially on oily skin tones, I don't know how much, like I said, I feel like everyone's raving about these. But for me, I just feel like they're a little bit more on the greasier side compared to any of the other ones that we're talking about today. So I'm gonna flip it over and we'll swatch the other shade on my cheeks. But I don't like being this greasy. It almost like wipes off. I'm someone who, I take into account that, like, I may not be wearing foundation, but I still, most of the time I don't wear foundations because, like, if I'm at the end of my shift and I want to work out, you know, my other bronzers don't move like with sweat in terms of the Tarte or the Fenty, whereas like this one does move with sweat. Also, I live in Arizona, which means you sweat 24/7. So even though my skin type is on the drier side, it's, you know, so you guys can tell that's a lot deeper for the second shade. They do blend out nicely, I will say that. And it's not like I'm saying I hate them, but I'm not someone who prefers to set with powder. Whereas these, I feel like you have to set with powder. But see how much red that pulls? And then it never fully dries down. So I feel a little bit stickier with this, which I think is why I don't really like it. So I'm just taking the side to blend it out. Which I'm fine with a little bit of red. You know, like that's okay for me. I feel, I just don't think I love the finish as much. Okay, lights all the way turned down. Kasha, very, very natural. You know, like I said, it is matte, and I could easily lay a bronzer on top of this. Whereas this, you guys can just see, it's a glow for sure, and I like glowy skin. But when I touch it, so if I go like that, like it rubs off. So it's very easy. Hopefully you guys can see that. Watch it like not move when I'm doing this. But it is very finicky in terms of like when you're sweating, it rubs off a lot easier than most of the matte ones. Like there you go. You can definitely see it, and I can see it on my finger. So just keep that in mind. But I wouldn't say like this is an everyday look for me. I think it'd be a very specific look. So I'd say if anything for the Tower 28 to add a little bit of setting powder, but I wouldn't not set it because it's just too much. Whereas like this side, I feel better in it. And because I do a moisturizer between, like, I don't feel like these look dry by any means, like all the matte ones compared to this one. But yeah, it's pretty. It's just, it's not like, especially I like that it's cheaper, right? $20. I'm like, oh, compared to the rest. But yeah, I don't like that I feel greasy on this one. Whereas like this one, I can touch it and I'm not moving anything around. All right, and then just so you guys kind of have a reference, like look how like creamy was what I was talking about, like almost oily this one is compared to like the Fenty. Like yes, it has a sheen, but like this you can really see like the formula is it's just very movable, whereas this is a little bit stiffer, but still easy to work with. So okay, so the two powders of the year have been the Charlotte Tilbury airbrush bronzer, and then the Kosas, this is like the moisturizing. Let me just say, I don't find baked products moisturizing, not any more than powders do, but that's just me. In general, I feel like everything now, it's like, it has to say something like hydrating, moisturizing, hyaluronic acid, like, okay. Unless we're talking about skincare, I don't feel like most like makeup products are that moisturizing. No one's ever put on a bronzer and been like, oh, I feel so much more moisturized. Just saying. But anyways, this one is obviously like, this is luxury, whereas this is more like a high-end brand, but not like quite the price point. Again though, this is still pretty pricey. It's 34 bucks, but it's very comparable to brands around that range, whereas this is Charlotte Tilbury, it's 55. I actually quite like the packaging of the Kosas, and I like the packaging of the Charlotte Tilbury. Totally different vibes, you know, but I do actually like this. You know it's clear, but I like the green, okay? But in terms of what you're getting 16 grams in here, and then she is selling refillable pans. This is a matte bronzer, whereas the Kosas is a shimmering bronzer. And you get 6 grams in here for $34. So you get a lot in the Charlotte Tilbury, so I do have to say, like, price-wise, if you can swing it, this is definitely, I felt like it was a good price for the amount of product you're getting. And I like the idea of refillable pans. So Kosas, I have been trying this out over and over and over again. This time I do have foundation on because I think with powder, like that way I could really show you guys, because I feel like that's, you know, that's really how I wear powder is over foundation compared to like my cream products, which I'll do with both. We're going to go in with the Kosas first. No, we're not going to use this brush for the Kosas. In terms of powder brushes, it's not like I have a lot of bronzer brushes, so we're not going to really go over like my favorites of those unless you guys want to see something like that. But this is the Morphe R2, and we're going to use the Kosas. I was going to dip my Sonia G, and I was like, not in this one. So for this one, I did go ahead and set my face as well. I don't think I like this. Okay, I've been going back and forth, trying it out. This is another big, like, hyped up one that I was just like, oh, I have to have it. So I like baked bronzers. Like, I love the Ritual de Fille Laura Mercier bronzer. I love that one. This one, it's not bad. But what I found is, especially when I am filming, which really means like when I'm in the light, right? I'll turn my head and it looks oddly metallic. This one, it is the shade medium. There's 3 shades. The shade range is very hard. Like it's a very harsh from 1 to 2 for sure. And this one definitely pulls red. So just know that that's what you're getting into. I like it if I'm just doing that, which for me, I usually use a little bit more than this. So let's turn it back all the way down. But this isn't like, you know, I usually go in a few more times with bronzer. If I do that on this one, it turns very, not into a shimmering bronzer, but like a metallic bronzer. Like there's certain ones where I feel like they get it right. Like the Hourglass one has a nice shimmer to it. This one though, it pulls way too metallic on me. I do think the shade isn't awful. I actually do like the shade. Like I said, I'm fine with a little bit of reddish undertone on my skin tone. But that's gonna be really hard if you're on the lighter side. And then I think deeper wise, I think Kiki Sweat bought this shade as well. But yeah, that is what we're looking like. And I'm gonna get up in here because I feel like from this point of view, it just doesn't look, it's not portraying what I want it to portray. It's like, you will not talk bad about me, you know, but I'm going to. So this is the Charlotte Tilbury, and this is in the shade 3 as well. This one is a matte bronzer. At the same time, I really like this one, but I have read reviews of people saying like that it kind of clings to dry patches. I haven't found that on myself personally, but I do, you know, I do want to put it out there that if you have very, very dry skin, which I have patchy skin, but I generally get like patchy, like, cause I am on tretinoin, it's usually like within this area. So maybe that's why, but I don't find it to be patchy. It's almost though, like I like the shade on me, but I do see what people are saying where they're like, I just feel like it's a darker setting powder rather than a bronzer. I obviously don't mind that because I use my Jouer dark powder for bronzing as well. And I don't like overly orange bronzers. So for me, I like that this one's very, very buildable. And I like the tone. So I'm going to go in a little bit more just so you guys can see. But the Kosas definitely pulls more red on me. And I can definitely see it close up. So hopefully you guys can too. But if I move my head, which I will take a picture in the sunlight just like I did with the other one, it looks very metallic up here, which is what I don't like. I don't know if you guys can see. I don't see any issues in terms of it skipping or dry patches on either one. I feel like they're both smooth powders. So definitely let me know what you think. Some people might actually really love this one. It's just not for me. Like the metallic-y look, I'm actually fine with it on my cheeks. It's my forehead that I'm just like, ugh. But yeah, overall, it's not that I hate this one. And like I said, I'm on the verge of like, do I want to return it? Kind of. Only because like I use it more as like I'll lay something like this on and then I can sweep this over top and that's totally fine. But when I go in with this on my own, I just feel like it looks awkward in certain lightings. Like I'll record with it and I'm just like, what's on my forehead? And then I realize, oh, it's just the way the light is hitting it where it looks weird. So if you're gonna get this one, definitely go in light-handed. And then like I said, like Temptalia is usually the person I go to for reviews. I love her blog and she did not like the Charlotte Tilbury bronzers. I'm still really liking it. So there's that for you. Everybody is going to have different preferences on what they like. All right, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys swatches of all of these in sunlight. That way you can really see. All right, so first off, we have the Charlotte Tilbury. Then we have the Kosas. Then we have Tower 28 Best Coast, West Coast, Kaja Beauty, Fenty, and then Tarte. So you guys can definitely see that the shimmer is in the Kosas swatch and the Tower 28s compared to the other ones that are a little bit more matte. Kaja more leans on the side of a contour shade, I would say, but I can still just use it on its own and it's totally fine. So overall, I mean, I think you guys can tell which ones were my favorite and which ones weren't. And it's not, like I said, it's not like I don't like shimmery bronzers. I love, there's quite a few shimmering ones that I do actually really like. I just feel like these ones have just too much. Like maybe it's my age where I'm like, I want a sophisticated little shimmer and not a like metallic-y type shimmer. I feel like there's a big difference, you know what I mean? So yeah, that is kind of like, I'll use even like the Hourglass over top of things as well. So it's kind of up to you in terms of what you want. But I would say my favorite have been the creams. I've been obsessed with most of the cream bronzers. So those would probably be my go-to, and I am not a cream person. So for me to say that means something. But yeah, guys, that is it for me. I hope this was very useful for you. Please remember to subscribe. Let me know what has been your guys' favorite bronzer. What are you thinking about getting? If you have any questions, all that good stuff. I will see you in the next video. Don't forget to hit that like button. Bye, guys.